ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 Verse number 95 Satasloki. किं ज्योतिस्ते वदस्वाहनिरविरिह मे चन्द्रदीपादिरात्रौ स्यादेवं भानुदीपादिक परिकलने किं तव ज्योतिरस्ति चक्षुस्तन्मीलने किं भवति च सुतरां धीर्धियः किं प्रकाशे तत्रैवाहं ततस्त्वं तदसि परमकं ज्योतिरस्मि प्रभोऽहम्. This, is a revision. We have already seen this because the last few verses will be like that because the author, some Shankaracharya, is getting, is getting ready to summarize and wind up the Satasloki. So the winding up, which is the called Upasamhara. Upasamhara means the conclusion, will always be reiterating some of the main points which went before. And we have seen this section very, very in quite detail in two different contexts. So then I can hopefully go through it a little faster. So let us see the context of this, because the verse is very important. But then we have seen, once we see the context, we can get into the verse very, very easily. So let us look at the context, and the context is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 4.3 section 4.3, fourth Brahmana, 4.3.2 to 4.3.6, a famous portion of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad known as what is that called? Jyotir Brahmana. Jyotir Brahmana. Brahmana here, you know all this, but just to make sure, is not Brahmana, Kshatriya, that kind of gradations in ancient society. Brahmana here means a section. Jyotir Brahmana, a section discussing light. Why do we need a section in the Upanishad discussing light? Because this is something we often take for granted. During the day, we remove the curtains to let the sunlight flood the room, and so that we are able to see and do vyavahara during the day. During the night, we simply, we have now a switch. We simply switch on the light. Some light, fluorescent light, incandescent light, whatever kind of light is there, we switch on the light. Because that is what it is. And supposing you are going out for a walk, then you enjoy the moonlight. So yesterday here we had a partial lunar eclipse. Very beautiful it was to watch. I think in America it was there in the early morning. For us there it was in the early evening, with the rising moon came with Rahu attached to it. Very, very nice to see. So if you're out in the night, the moon gives the light. But let us say it is Amavasya, no moon night. Then what? You need a torch, whether it is at the back of your cell phone, a light that is emitting from your cell phone, or in the ancient times it was like this firebrand, this what is that called? The a stick, tied on the top with some kind of a cloth bundle, and that was like that was dipped in oil and then lit fire, like a fat Q-tip, big, larger than life Q-tip. And then on top of that you light, and then you can take that from one place to another, and you reach there with that light. So this is something we take for granted for what is called Vyavahara. Jyotir Brahmana is a conversation, a dialogue between Janaka, a king in the ancient times, not to be confused with Sita's father, not that Janaka of the Itihasa or Purana, but some king uh, who was who was credited with being highly regarded as a jnani. This is Janaka. So Janaka talks with Yagyavalkya, and Yagyavalkya is there, and he and Janaka have a conversation, a kind of a samvada, where Yagyavalkya is teaching Janaka. This is the particular section called Jyotir Brahmana. Why it is called Jyotir Brahmana, it will become very, very evident because it's an analysis of the light. Because we take these lights for granted. We take the sun, we take the moon, we take the stars, lightning, fire, everything as we take that as the sole illuminers on our path, at least in the empirical realm, because we don't see any other source of light, and that is what is being questioned here and made to understand. So this is how the conversation goes. In this is mantra 432. Yagyavalkya. Hey, the Janaka is asking the question, Hey Yagyavalkya, Kim Jyotirayam Purushaha iti Aditya Jyotihi Samrat iti Hovacha. So then, what is the light which illumines this person? Meaning, how do I see person here means this akara, purushakara. The name and form called this body, mind, sense complex. And so, how do I see my own hands? How do I see my legs? How do I see my form? What is by which light do I see my forms? Let's say I'm standing in front of a reflecting surface like a mirror or a glass. Then how? So the Yagyamalkya, vocative, he says, "Oh Yagyamalkya, Kim Jyotirayam Purushaha iti." Iti means this is a quotation mark. So what is this? What is this light by which the person is illumined? How do how do I see that I exist, and how I means here the body mind sense complex. How do I see this body? How do I see this akara? And Yagyavalkya takes him through a wonderful journey, which is Vedanta Shastra. Vedanta Shastra is a wonderful journey, very beautiful journey. Immediately, of course, now we can talk about this because we have done 95 verses of Satasloki. Immediately, it is easy to say, oh, this is just the light of oneself. Oneself is the light of all lights. Jyotisham Jyotihi, we can say that. But there is no fun in that because one is not being taken step by step, because that's where the teaching happens. For teaching, there has to be two things. One is you take the person just a little bit from where they are, and you don't expect them to just go straight away, because there is no assimilation, even though they may be able to repeat. But that talk doesn't match what is the assimilation inside. And so you have to take them step by step, and we have seen this methodology in the Taittiriya Upanishad. We are seeing this methodology called Shakha Chandra Nyaya. Shakha Chandra Nyaya. So it's a maxim where, let's say, a small crescent moon, second day moon, third day Tritiya, the Tritiya Chandra, which is not easily visible in the sunset sky. In the orange sky of the setting sun, suddenly one person sees the sliver of the moon and wants to show it to their friend. You can't just say, look there. Where? Look there. I'm seeing it. What's wrong with you? Why can't you see it? You can't say that because obviously they're not able to say that. If you see that, it's very faint. Sukshma. And like that crescent moon, the Atma is also extremely sukshma, unable to be objectified. And so you can't take the person straight from here to there. So first you position the yourself and your friend in front of you. Let's say you're on the terrace of a building in a huge city, and you position yourself so that this crescent moon is in between two buildings on some kind of a cityscape skyline. Then you say, do you see this tower? That tower everybody knows because that is the center of the city, it's the financial hub, etc. Yes, 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 I see the tower. Do you see that other big skyscraper next to that? Yeah. Okay, now look in between. Ah, so beautiful. That is what it is. Now, the thing is, the point is not to look at that tower. The point is not to look at the skyscraper. But then those become the part of the journey of Chandra Darshana. And this is the modern example. The traditional example is you position yourself and the friend so that the moon is at the in between two branches of a tree. Nowadays we have to look at cityscape and skyline because where are the trees? Very difficult. There are no trees. Okay. Yeah, with all this deforestation, everything has taken place. And so we update the example also. So similarly here, you go from something that is concrete to something that is a little less concrete, little more abstract, and then you have this, you have the vision. And then Janaka, it is said in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, hmm, what is that called? Had a vara. Vara means, what does vara mean? Boon. Had a boon. And what was the boon? He could SMS Yagyavalkya at 2 a.m. even if he had a question about Vedanta. That was the boon. I mean, what a lovely boon. People want that all the time. But he had this boon that he could wake up the teacher in the middle of the night also if he had a question. He was blessed with that. And it is called, what is that? It is that the boon also has a name. Kama Prashna. Kama Prashna means that whenever there is the Kama for this Prashna, then you can just call. You can just call upon the sage. He had the freedom to ask whenever they occurred in his mind. He didn't need to write it down. He didn't need to wait till the end of the class. And he could just ask it whenever he wanted. And that was the boon. So then he says, Kim Jyotihi Ayam Purushaha Iti. He asked the question. We've seen the meaning already. Then Samrat, O king, Aditya Jyotihi iti hovacha Yagyavalkyaha. So Yagyavalkya says, why? Oh king, you know this as well as I do. It's the sun. Kim Jyotihi, Aditya Jyotihi. And then Adityena eva ayam jyotishaste palyayate karma kurute vipalyeti iti evam evaitat iti evam evaitat Yagyavalkya. So then, he says, and he gives the reasoning. The reasoning is what? Adityena eva, by the light of the sun alone, eva, what? This is what it is, Jyotishaste. Jyotishaste means people are lit, everything is lit. Palyayate, people move about, perform their tasks. Vipalyayate means they withdraw from the task, everything they do, and they appear to be, karma kurute. And vipalyayate means they seem to be happy with the light of the sun. And Janaka says, Evam eva etat. Yes, indeed, you are right, Yagyavalkya. Then, as soon as he says you are right, Yagyavalkya, Janaka has one more question, which forms the subject matter of the next verse. Astamita aditya Yagyavalkya, kim jyotirevayam purushaha iti. So then he has a question. Okay, but the sun is not there all the time. Sun is gone. Sun sets. Astamita means this is the sun has set. Astamita aditye. When the sun has set, then when the sun has set, then what happens? Oh Yagyamalkya, Kim Jyotihi evayam purushahiti. What lights up the being that is going about its night? What is the light with the help of which people perform the functions when the sun is gone? How do they have their dinner if they don't even know what is on their plate? Forget what is on their plate. They don't even know where the plate is. You have to grope around. Where is the food? Am I putting sugar in it or salt? I don't know. This is what, this is what it is. It is, how do they do this? And then, Yagyavalkya says, why? Come on. Chandrama eva asya jyotirbhavati. चन्द्रमसैवायं ज्योतिषास्ते पल्ययते कर्म कुरुते विपल्ययते इति एवम् एव एतत् याज्ञवल्क्य. Why? When the sun goes, that's why the moon is given. Moon is there, and when the moon is there, then this is how the people act. The moon is the only source of support when the sun is not there. With the help of the light of the moon, people work, actions are performed, and this is how they function when the sun is not there. Oh, that sounds correct. Oh, Yagyamalkya, says the king. Then immediately one more question arises, and this is what Kama Prashna means. You can ask anytime. And then he says, then I have one more question. Oh Yagyamalkya, Astamite ita aditye, Chandramasi astamite, then kim jyotihi eva ayam purushaha iti. Okay, the moon is also not there all the time. It wanes, and when it wanes, but still people continue their activity. What is that light with which the people continue the activity? And the moon wanes, and one day it is invisible, totally dark. How do they do this? And then what does Yagyavalkya says? Agnihi eva asya jyotir bhavati. Why? We have fire. Oh Janaka, you can't be so out of touch. We have fire. I mean, you know all this. We have fire, and the fire is the one that takes people from one village to another. You carry that firebrand and go. And in the home also, the fire lights up the inside the house, so you know what you're cooking, what you're eating, all these things, where you're going. You don't bump into the walls of the house. You don't bump into one another, other members of the family. So that is how the fire is there. And so then when there is no, his question was, when there is no sun, when the sun has set, the moon has set, then what is it that through which the people fulfill all their activities? And how do people get comforted? Well, he says, fire is the light then. Agnihi eva asya jyotir bhavati. Agnina eva ayam jyotishaste palyayate karma kurute, etc., etc., etc. Then the Janaka says, evam eva etat. This is how you are comforted. This is you have the fire, you have the warmth, you have everything you can see. So what if there is no sun, no moon? Oh, thank you very much. And then what? Raise the hand again. Next question. Astamita aditye yagyamalkya chandramasi astamite shante agnau. So astamite aditye chandramasi astamite shante agnau kim jyotirevayam purushaha iti. So now let's say the firebrand also goes out. Then how does one conduct one's affairs? How does one know what to do, where to go, etc., etc.? And then we are getting closer. Now we have looked at all the skyscrapers, and we have looked at the two skyscrapers. We are getting closer to this, whatever is exemplified by this Shakha Chandra Nyaya, this Shakha Chandra Darshana. And so here he says, Astamite Aditye, when the sun has set, the moon has also set, the fire is also not Shante Agnav, when the fire is also not burning, then what is your support? How do you sustain yourself? How do you do your duties? Where do you find comfort? No torch, no stars, let us say, no light. Stars are all far away, pitch darkness. How do you communicate with people? How do you know where to go? How do you know what is where? How do you go? Well, in the darkness, something that leads you is sound. Arey, koi hai? Is there anybody? Get out of the way. I'm coming. Hello. You clap your hands. And that sound resonates. And then if somebody is there, they tell you, don't come this side, I'm here. Here means where? Right here where you see the sound coming from. And so that is what Yagyavalkya replies. And then he says, वाक् एव अस्य ज्योतिर्भवति वाचा एव अयं ज्योतिषास्ते पल्ययते कर्म कुरुते एटसेट्रा 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 तस्माद् वै सम्राट् अपि यत्र पाणिर्न विनिर्ज्ञायते अथ अत्र यत्र वाग् उच्चरति उपैव तत्र न्येति इति एवमेव एतत् याज्ञवल्क्य. He agrees. So what does Yagyavalkya say? Then sun has set, moon has set, everything. Then there is no torch, no stars. How do you communicate? What do they do? By the sound of your own speech. Who is there? Who goes there? Halt! People start saying like this when all the lights are off. Then when somebody says, I'm here, it is this, it is that, don't go there. How do you telling me not to go there? Because I went there, and what happened? I fell into a ditch. So please don't go there. You will also fall into a ditch. So by sounds, people communicate with their ideas with one another. People go by their, you can't say day, people go by their night and do whatever they need to without even bumping into each other, because they have the sound and directions. There is a connection. So the sound itself, the projecting of the sound gives a sense of whereabouts, and so that is how they communicate. And guess what will be Janaka's next question? It's anybody's guess. Okay, so then Astamita Aditye Yagyavalkya Chandramasi Astamite Shante Agnav Shantayam Vachi. This is all, Sati Saptami. It's all a conditional seventh case, locative absolute construction. So when the sun has set, it means when the sun has set, when the moon has set, when the firebrand has gone out, and let's say all the people assembled have laryngitis. We have to assume that, because nobody can speak. They open their mouth, no sound comes out. Shantayam Vachi. So then what? You have to assume this, because otherwise this doesn't resonate. So for the purposes of this discussion, we have to assume it's a room full of people in pitch dark or outside, where there is no moon, no sun, no firebrand, and then no stars, nothing. And then none of them can talk. Or it's a room full of people who cannot hear. That also is the same. They can talk, but they cannot hear. So either way, then how do people have a sense of orientation? How do you see? Shantayam vachi kim jyotirevayam purushaha iti. Atma eva asya jyotirbhavati. Atmana eva ayam jyotishaste palyayate karma kurute vipalyate iti. So this is the sun has gone, moon has gone, light has gone, everything has gone, no light. How do you conduct? You guide yourself by yourself. Atma becomes that light. How does Atma become become that light? It doesn't become, it always was that light. It was the light that illumined even the sun. It was that light. That was the light. What other light is there? It was the light by which the sun was objectified, by which the moon was objectified, by which the stars and the fire was objectified, and by which the speech was objectified. Yadvacha anabhyuditam yena vak abhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. A very nice verse from the Kenopanishad. That which is illumined by speech, yeah, but that which the speech cannot, that which the speech illumines, but that which cannot be illumined by speech. That is Brahman, not something that you objectify and put on the altar for worship. We don't worship that thing itself. That thing is just an indicator. That is what it is. So here, this is how Yagyamalkya takes him step by step. So yourself alone is the light. This is where the buck stops. You guide yourself by yourself. You have a special sense, as it were, to sense the presence of yourself, which is called self-illumining. It's not a means of knowledge. It is a illumined, it's already swatah siddha. It is already there. You reveal yourself and everything becomes evident to you. Sun becomes evident to you, moon becomes evident to you, fire becomes evident to you, speech becomes evident to you, everything becomes evident to you. But then why do you have to go to this kind of a terrible scenario where no one can talk, no one can hear, no light, no fire, no source of comfort, no source of light at all? Why do you need to go to there? Because otherwise the Atma is the one that is always taken for granted. Nobody is there, the Atma is always taken for totally for granted. This is how the Atma is. And the Atma is taken for granted. Why? Because until the cessation of all sources of light, you don't even have a place to question and understand this. We are dependent on external sources all the time because they are easy to identify, they are easy to objectify, they are easy to see, hear, whatever it is. Hear means in terms of speech. So that is what we are focused on. We are focused on the external means of knowledge and their objects which can objectify, namely the sources of light that help us see, that help us go places, take us here, take us there. And we derive comfort like, yes, I am a functioning human being because I can see this, because I can do this, because I am here. I'm a functioning human being. But But here, this is the rub, because when all those things are taken away, you see, this is what it is. The Shakha Chandra Nyaya is not just the positioning the moon between two things and then two branches and being able to see the moon. In fact, the background today is Shakha Chandra Nyaya. Between two blossoms, we are seeing the moon. So, but here it's not just about seeing the moon. Stage by stage, we are seeing the moon. No, here the thing is, so that's just the maxim. But what is really happening is something much more than that. Yes, that is the pedagogy. All right, but what is happening is something much more deeper, meaning that the means of knowledge that are available to us are taken away. In fact, we could have gone one more thing, one more step here. Before the Upanishad concludes, Janaka could have asked one more question. What is the, we could have asked one more question. That when the speech also is gone, how does we could have had one more section there. When the speech also is gone, how do people go about? Through the sense of touch. You grope around, okay, you bump into somebody, okay, this is where you are. That also could have been there. But then that is not there, because I think the point was put across very nicely. We get the idea that all organs of the senses are taken away. The sense of touch also, which is a sense organ, but which is interestingly dependent upon the hands and the etc., on the karmendriyas, on the organs of action, that is taken away. All the senses are taken because we are used to operating the means of knowledges that are available to us in the form of the pratyaksha pramanani, the five pramanas that are there: sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. This is how we go about. But then when all that is taken away, how, what is left? This is called parishesha nyaya. You eliminate the obvious. You eliminate the objects that are sort of cohabiting with the subject, that are sort of intertwined, cognitively speaking, with the subject. And so then what happens when you remove it in a kind of a controlled, sort of even an impossible experiment? I mean, what are the chances that you will be in a group of people who cannot hear, cannot see, etc., and in the dark? And how are you going to communicate? This is a contrived experiment. This is a cognitive experiment. And in this experiment, it becomes very, very clear that all the ways in which I know I exist, in which I know that I am in relationship to this Jagat, all those things are taken away. Then what happens? Then you have to rely on yourself. And what kind of a self is it? A self that does not need a means of knowledge for it to be evident. That's what we keep on saying: self-evident, self-evident, self. This is what it is: self-illumined self, self-established self. Because that light of all lights, Jyotisham Jyotihi, he is going to conclude in a few mantras here, Yagyamalkya, that light of all light is the light of the universe, is that same light called Bhagavan, by which the whole universe turns, and that which is the source of everything. And so that is where to go. But before that, something called, technically called Pratyagatma Siddhi must be there. Pratyagatma Siddhi. Pratyagatma Siddhi means I have to recognize that Jyotisham Jyotihi, that light of all lights, as myself. Because the myself is very much mixed up with the not myself. Sun, not myself. Moon, not myself. Speech also not myself. Sense of touch also not myself. Oh, why not? Because the maxim here is anything that I can objectify, not me, not I, not I, not I, not I, not I, not me, not me, not me. Then when all the not me's are quote unquote removed from consideration, then the me shines. Oh, but why do we have to go to this? Doesn't the Atma always shine? Yes, it does. Then why don't I recognize it? This is the answer. The answer to this question you have to give. Why don't you recognize it? I have to ask you. And then you will say, I don't know exactly. Because the I is mixed up with the not I. Even though the I has nothing to do with the not I, it is as though mixed up. So then we have to go through this whole journey to as though extricate the I from the not I. Extricate again within quotes. I have to hold my hands like this. Extricate within quotes, because it's not really mixed up, but then it appears as though it's mixed up. And so that appearance has to be removed totally. And then that appear when all the things are gone, then only the Atma, as it were, shines. Not that it wasn't shining before, but the shine of the Atma, the self-evident I, which is evident in the form of I exist. And I don't need anything else to ratify my existence. I'm not dependent on anything else in order to be me. in order to be myself, in order to be happy, in order to have ananda. And I'm not depending on anything else at all. And this is what it is. This is how the knowledge has to come. And therefore, what? Therefore, this whole experiment is to bring you back to yourself. Pratyagatma Siddhi is the first step to Tattvamasi. Because if you don't know Tvam, how can it be equated to Tat? Jagat Karanam Brahma, that which is the cause of the universe. How can that equation be made? Not possible at all. How can that equation be made? When you don't know what you are, that equation is contingent upon knowing who you are. So one side of the equation has to be understood without any doubt, without any error, without any vagueness. And the best way to do it is to show you that you don't depend on any light. In fact, that Atma light, the Jyotisham Jyotihi, the light of all light, lights up the sun. Because in the Taittiriya Upanishad, we have a nice sentence. That which lights up the sun and that which is eye, that which lights up the eye is the same. यश्चायं पुरुषे यश्चासावादित्ये स एकः स य एवं वित् अस्मान् लोकात् प्रेत्य एतमन्नमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं प्राणमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं मनोमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति etc. Upasankramati means transcends. So the person that recognizes that the light which is I and the light that which lights up the sun is one. Ekaha. So yaha evam with, the one who understands this. Evam with means the one who understands the truth of the universe in this manner. Asman lokat pretya, from departing from this universe, transcends Annamaya, transcends that place of error thinking I am this body, transcends this thinking, the error thinking I am my emotions, I am hunger, I am thirst, etc. Prana and emotions, mind, thinking, thought, etc. Buddhi, mind. Then transcends the notion I am the karta, transcends the notion I am bhokta. Bhokta means the one who is victimized by situations. I'm neither bhokta nor karta nor anything. Transcends all that. And then what is left? Then what is left is just that there is no natasya pranaha utkramanti. The pranas don't rise again because there is no desire for anything. And why is there no desire for anything? Because that which I needed to discover, I have discovered. What is that I needed to discover? That I am the source of contentment. I'm all that there is. All this is a projection of the I. The whole universe is an extension of myself alone. There is nothing other than this I. That Bhagavan which I worship is just a samashti version of the I. A collective, from the collective standpoint, it is the I alone. The one who has recognized is limitless, is contented, doesn't need to be born again. This is what the Taittiriya Upanishad talks about, and so this is a very interesting and a beautiful, very beautiful this section here, and talking about the Jyotisham Jyoti. So equipped with this, we can tackle the verse now very quickly, because now we have all this background understanding, and the verse is just nothing but a deliberate plagiarism of this Jyotir Brahmana, by removing all the extraneous things, like there is no mention of Yagyavalkya or Janaka, because that is not necessary for this for this to happen. So instead of Yagyavalkya or Janaka, there is a Guru Shishya dialogue here in verse number 95. Kim Jyotihi te vadasva. This is the Guru asks. This is the Guru asking. Kim jyotihi te vadasva. Tell. Oh student, tell. Oh Shishya, tell me. Kim jyotihi te. What is your light? Ravihi. What is your light? And then the student answers. Ahani ravihi iha. Chandradeepadi me syat. So this is the student's answer. Okay. So if you look at the verse, ahani ravihi iha chandradeepadi ratrau me syat. So the student says the sun during the day, ahani, in the day. Ahan, in a day, ahani, during the day, in the daytime, then ravihi iha. Why the sun here is because they are having this conversation during the day, and so he says iha, right here is the sun. That's what guides me during the day, and then that is my light. Chandra Deepadi. Chandra means all this, where is that? Chandra Deepa means all those other things are included, firebrand, etc. Stars, all this firebrand, etc. is included. So, and fluorescent light, etc. is included. So, Chandra Deepa Adi, Adipadat, Adi means etc. So, Ratrau, Ratri, seventh case, Ratrau, during the night, all these are my light. Syat means they will be, they are my light. No, Syat comes in the next line. So, Evam Syat comes. So, Chandradeepadi Ratrau. So, this is what, this is what he says. Then the Guru replies, Evam Syat. Okay, let it be so. Let it be so. Then, by which light, the Guru asks, you see the sun, the lamp, the moon, etc. Bhanu Deepadi Adipadika Parikalane means the recognition here. Kim tava jyotihi asti. Syadevam means, okay, provisionally, I accept your argument. May it be so. The teacher is talking now, okay, because this is otherwise if you don't say this in this verse, it's all gajabaja, it's all mixed up. You don't know where the teacher ends and the student begins. So this is why I'm saying. So now the teacher is talking, Guru is talking, and the Guru says, Bhanu Deepadika Parikalane. So for the recognition of the sun, of the moon, and all the other sources of light, lamp, etc. Kim tava jyotihi asti. So what is your light? Light here you don't take literally, please. Light means what is that by which you recognize the sun, you recognize the moon, you recognize the lamps, etc. What is that? And then the student is now talking, Chakshuhu. That's all. One word response. Chakshuhu means what? Ears, correct? Yes?
Eyes.
Eyes. Just checking if everybody's awake. Yeah. So Chakshuhu, eye. Why? With my eyes. With my eyes, I recognize. I recognize all the sun, the moon, the stars, the firebrand, lamp, etc. with my eyes. Tat, tat milane kim bhavati cha. So then this is the student responding. Chakshuhu, one word response. Tat milane. Let's say when your eyes are closed. Kim bhavati cha sutaram. So, when that is closed, what light is there? Kim prakashe. So in which light do you function? In which light do you function? And then the student replies, why this is always the case. Dhihi means the mind. The mind. One word response again. Kim bhavati cha sutaram. So what is that? What is there? You say eye. Okay, when the eye is closed, What is this? What is bright? What is that shines? Why? When the eye is closed, the mind is active. Dhiyaha kim prakashe. By what light is the mind revealed to you? The teacher asks. By which light is the mind being revealed to you? Tatra eva aham tataha tvam tadasi. So first the student says, why? Then I am there. If the mind is not there, I am still there. I am the one that's illumining the mind. For I alone am that light. I am that light by which the mind is revealed. I am that light by which the buddhi is revealed. The eyes are revealed, and the objects of the eyes, the sun, moon, etc., they are also revealed. Then tataha, tataha means therefore. Now the teacher is talking. Tvam tadasi paramakam. So you are there. The buck stops. There is nothing more, than you. There is no light that reveals you. You because you are self-revealing. You are self-revealing. There is no light that reveals you. Very beautiful story that Swamiji used to teach. In his teaching, he used to deploy to show this particular example. In ancient India, this story is set, and during a wedding party. So the groom's family and guests came to the village of the bride, and they were all put up in various. It was a rich man's daughter who was getting married, some kind of a landed gentry, zamindar or something like that. And so he had a huge mansion and some on his land, and independent houses where all the groom's party were made to stay, because in those days the wedding itself used to take 1 week. And then they used to come 1 week before for the preparation, and then they would stay 1 week after and then go, because it was each journey was so fraught. Bullock cart, etc. in those days. So how else horse, bullock cart, etc. So you would be so tired, you would come and take rest and all these things. And so the groom's family needed to be well taken care of. And so there was a trusty old domestic help by the name of Muppan. And this Muppan was told, take the lamps, because it's dark. They will need to see. And then we should not hear from the groom's party that, oh, they put us in a dark house without enough lamps, because no electricity. So take some lamps. And then the Muppan was a simpleton. And then he said, okay, master, where should I put them? Put them where there is no light, you idiot, the master said. Well, that also I have to tell you where to put them. Put them wherever you need light. So Muppan, got tired of carrying it in his hand, the lamp. So the first lamp, he put it on his head because his hands were getting tired. And he went like this. Oh, it's a well-lit place. No lamp is needed here. Then he looked this side. That's also a well-lit place. No lamp is here. No lamp is needed. No lamp is needed this side. No lamp is needed that side. And then he went, to all the quarters where all the groom's family, the groom himself, the parents, everybody, relatives, everybody was staying. And he looked this way, and the lamp gave a powerful glow and lit everything in its path. Then he came back with the lamp on his head, and the master was irate. I have given you 25 lamps, and with the first one also you have come back. What's wrong with you? And simpleton Muppan said, Master, I looked everywhere with a lamp on my head, with this big lamp on my head. I looked everywhere. Nowhere did I find a dark place. So I have brought it back. So this, I don't even need to explain this story. It is self-explanatory. You can understand. This is the light of the Atma. There is no dark place. Even that darkness is brought to light. That is what it is. There is nothing called darkness. Not possible at all. And so this is how, that light of all lights called the eye lights up everything. It's not that the sun is lighting me up, I am lighting the sun up. In fact, the light of the sun and that light which is me is the same source. That is what one has to understand. So then, tatra eva aham, the student finally comes to the conclusion. Tataha tvam tadasi, you are that. What is that? Paramakam jyotihi. You know, the Paramakam, that Jyotihi goes both ways. Paramakam Jyotihi Tadasi. You are that which is the light of the world. You are that which is the light of the universe. That which brings the universe to light is your own light. That's why no object is evident to you in sleep, because your own light is not broadcasting itself through the sense organs, the mind, etc. And so therefore, this is you. Mahavakya. Tadasi. Even, instead of saying Tattvam Asi, you just say Tadasi, because the Asi brings in the Tvam. It is the second, this thing, second person. So you can say Tadasi. Very clever, because even Tattvam Asi, there are 3 words. Here, Tadasi, only 2 syllables. And even in the Advaita Makaranda, this comes. Tadasi iti gira lakshyam. So towards the end it comes. Tadasi. Same as saying Tattvam-asi. Tvam you need not even bring. Asi pada. That itself shows. Asi means you are. So you don't need to emphasize the Tvam. And here, for the sake of meter and for the sake of elegance, the author just says Tadasi. So the Guru says Tadasi. You are Jagat Karanam Brahma. You are that which is wonderful, which is free, which is whole, which is total, which is everything. Paramakam. There's nothing beyond you. Paramakam Jyoti. Jyotihi Asmi. So this Paramakam Jyotihi can be what the teacher says and also what the student says. Paramakam Jyotihi, that Tadasi. And then the teacher says, and then the student, we can say, agrees and repeats the same thing. Paramakam Jyotihi Asmi Prabho Aham. O Master, O Teacher, O Lord, I am that. I am indeed that. I am nothing other than that. The student agrees. Very, very beautiful. Very, very nice. And since we have seen this in detail, this is exactly a reproduction, a kind of a reproduction of the Jyotir Brahmana, which we have already seen. So I feel comfortable moving on. So the 96th verse is the description of the Brahmagyani. Brahmagyani means the one who has self-knowledge, one who knows I am nothing other than Brahman. So that is the description. And so kinchit kalam sthitaha, kinchit, not kinchit, kanchit kala sthitah kau punariha bhajate naiva dehadhi sangham. यावत् प्रारब्ध भोगं कथमपि स सुखं चेष्टते असंगबुद्ध्या निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यशुद्धो विगलितममताहङ्कृतिर्नित्यतृप्तः ब्रह्मानन्दस्वरूपस्थिरमतिरचलः निर्गताशेषमोहः. All wonderful descriptions of the Jnani. Kanchit kalam sthitah kau. Kau is a very interesting thing here. And especially Sanskrit beginners, they will think it is kaha kau ke, dual of who, No, it is not who. Ku is the word. Kau, like guru, ukaranta, ku, and then kau means 7th case, singular. In ku. In ku means what? What is ku? Ku is not, ku means Prithvi. Ku is earth. So in ku means on the earth. 7th case. Kau means on the earth. Kau sthitaha means being on this earth. That's what it is. So that's how it has to be understood. Kanchit kalam kau sthitaha. So such a person, such a jnani, kau sthitah, after being on the earth, why, how long? Kanchit kalam, for whatever time. न एवं भजते पुनः इह देहाधिसंघं न भजते न सेवते. So bhaja sevayam. So na sevate does not what is that? Does not associate with, does not desire, does not fall into, does not what is that? Does not get connected to. The mind body sense complex dehadi sangham na bhajate. Punaha. Punaha means after the body drops. Punaha means once again. Never more returns to the body and the mind sense complex and all its accoutrements. What is that? I notion, what else? Atma, Ajnanam, all these things. The person is totally spared of that. Then what? Then, Yavat Prarabdha Bhogam. Yeah, until, so prarabdha bhoga means until the experience of the fruits of the former actions, whatever is there. So the body is given and the body has a timeline, and until then that prarabdha is exhausted. So yavat prarabdha bhogam, until the prarabdha is exhausted, kathamapi sasukham cheshthate asanga buddhya. Asanga buddhya. Kathamapi sasukham cheshthate. Cheshthate means just experiences. Kathamapi means anything can make the person happy. Why? Because the person is living very, very freely, even though the prarabdha might be difficult. And this is where many people, who have half knowledge of Vedanta go wrong, because they think, especially the new age, people think that yes, I am God, which means what? I should not fall sick. Who said that you are falling sick? Oh, but I have fever. That's the body. That means this knowledge is not assimilated. So, from the standpoint of the viewers who are looking at the Jnani getting weaker, Jnani was walking around very straight, and then what? Erect. And then the Jnani needed a stick. So, little bent over with a danda, with a stick. Then the Jnani, we see, and we from the standpoint of the viewers, we see saints getting into a wheelchair, saints going into the hospital and having an operation, then finally leaving the body. But this is from our standpoint, and this is exactly what this verse is going to talk about. That from their standpoint, from our point of view, they are suffering, and oh, why such a big Mahatma has to suffer? Everybody asks that question. And then some people console themselves by saying, oh, he or she is taking away our karma, and that is why they are suffering. So that is just a bhavana. But really speaking, whatever karma is in their account, they undergo. Even that is sukham cheshtate, happily. Happily they undergo. Because that doesn't mean they may not, they won't cry out in pain. They may cry out in pain. But they are not asanga buddhya sukham cheshtate. So, kimapi, whatever conditions are there, their mind is calm, and because they are not having body tadatmya, they are not having dehatma buddhi, they are not having this feeling that I am as good as the body iti. This is how they undergo their life. They live their life in this manner, untouched even by prarabdha. From the Jnani standpoint, there is no prarabdha. Okay, more we'll see next week. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः